Hey, this is Pastor Curry, pastor of the East Zion Fair Baptist Church, Wilmington's most exciting church, the church that love ya and anything you can do about it. Today with Coffee with Curry, we're going to talk with Tony. You know, he's been on our show several times before, and he's come back because this month it is the National Blood Drive Awareness Month, where in our society, there's so many people who need blood. There's so many people, so many accidents and things that happens, and they run out of blood, and the blood banks really are in desperate need for all of us who can give blood to give blood. So today we're going to just take some time and we're going to talk with Tony from Delmarva, Blood Bank of Delaware. Well, really, he's beyond Delaware because he does the tri-state pretty much. But I do want to talk with him. So why don't you real quickly call somebody, tell them Coffee with Curry is on, and let's get after it.
Good morning, Delaware and surrounding areas. You are now tuned in to this week's Coffee with Curry. Join us every Sunday at 11 a.m. with new guests every week. So grab your cup of coffee and join us on Coffee with Curry.
And we're back. Well, Tony, it is a joy to have you back again. And I am a true believer in giving blood, but it is a great opportunity to have you back with us again. So how's life before we get started with the blood bank? How's life treating you?
Oh, it's fantastic, Dr. Curry. It's always great to be here with you. Always great to be in my hometown of Wilmington.
Yeah.
Again, I'm out in the suburbs now with the wife and kids. But always good to be back. And here we are in the middle of January, enjoying the snow.
Yeah.
The kids had off school yesterday. They're 2 hours late today. But we got to work still, right?
Yes, that's right.
You know, it's great to be here to talk a little bit about, the community and the things we can do to help out the community.
Yeah, and we appreciate what you do. And that's why we were really anxious about bringing you back on the show, because we really want to make sure that those who are watching us know that if you can give blood, to please make it happen, set appointments, and then honor them. But before we get into all of the details for the blood bank of for giving donations of blood, so the family's doing well.
Yes.
Okay. You are currently serving in what capacity?
So I am the communications specialist for the Blood Bank of Delmarva. The Blood Bank of Delmarva is charged with keeping all 19 hospitals in the region stocked with the blood products that they need. And I've been there 6 years, and it's a great organization to work for. There really is, it's a great mission that saves lives, and it's just great to be part of it. And, I'm a native Delawarean, native Wilmingtonian. So it's good to, still be local and here with the home in the hometown.
What do you consider to be one of your strongest concerns when it comes down to your position? I mean, having to supply all these hospitals. Yeah. But you tell me, what are some of the concerns that you may find yourself with?
It's not easy to get people to donate blood. It can be a little stressful sometimes. Yeah. When you look at the U.S. population, a majority, 62%, are eligible to donate blood. The problem is only 3% actually do. And it gets a little challenging too, not just universally speaking, but some of the subpopulations, African Americans, traditionally have been underrepresented in our donation rules. They're 22.5% of the state of Delaware. And the little good news, though, we started sounding the alarm on that a little bit last year in 2023 AD. And I think it had an effect because we went from 5.1% of our donors being Black to 5.7, almost 6%.
Good.
From 2022 to 2023. Sorry, and that's heartening. It was similar with Latino donors. There was almost like about a percentage point increase in that group as well, which is underrepresented. 10% of the population, and I think they were about 2%, and we're seeing almost a point gain with them. So, but really everybody, for some reason, has a hard time giving blood. It can be stressful, but in the end, it's worth it when you hear about those stories of people, having their lives saved because blood was available for them.
That's right.
and that only comes from the donors.
Yeah, absolutely. My daughter, she was on the show last week, and she has become fascinated with blood. She went to science class. She's in the 7th grade now, and she went to science class, and her teacher talked about the different types of blood and who can give blood to who and what comes out. And so she came home and she asked me immediately what was my blood type. So I had to remember, I think I'm O positive. She said, "Oh, you have the good blood."
Yeah.
I don't know if that's so true, but that's what she said. And she was able to share with me how I can give blood to most positive. I think that's how she said it.
She's absolutely right. So you are the most common blood type in America. 35% of the population is O positive. And she's right in that O positive is very versatile. You can give blood to anybody who's Rh positive, whether you're A positive, B positive, or AB positive. And it's actually ends up being the most in demand at hospitals, believe it or not. O negative is the universal donor. They can give to anybody regardless of blood type, Rh positive or Rh negative. But O positive ends up being the one that they need the most. And it's actually being used in paramedics, and we could talk a little bit about that later, out in the field as well. So it's great to hear she's learning such a valuable lesson, because I think everybody should know their blood type.
Yeah, and she is we're not gonna talk too much about her, but she wants to be from a baby. She wanted to be a doctor. Her uncle is a physician in Philadelphia, so whenever it's something dealing with the sciences, she's always intrigued. And I'm always happy. So this month, I guess she wants to be a blood doctor. I forgot that title of what the one who studies the blood, but she also, one time she wanted to be a vet. So I'm glad she loves sciences. Let's put it that way.
Hematology is her specialty.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So now, as you were sharing earlier, sometimes it's very difficult in your job trying to convince people to give blood. What do you think that's attributed to?
The reasons are various and sundry. I mean, bottom line, it comes down to a fear of needles.
Yeah.
And there's also, followed by that, just a general ignorance of the need for blood. It's something that we cannot synthetically produce in the lab. We're not even close, no matter how fancy the scientists look in their white lab coats. It can only come from the generosity of somebody giving their time and allowing us to stick their vein to get a pint of blood, whole blood being our most common type of blood donation. I just think that if we were able to reach all the people that do not give blood, but they're walking around perfectly healthy, God has blessed them, I think that it could go a long way. And we have to combat that, we have a special message for the general public for National Blood Donor Month, which, by the way, was created more than 50 years ago by President Nixon and Congress, because they had the wisdom to recognize a month like January in the middle of winter is just terrible when it comes to collecting blood. It's the wintertime. People want to sit by the fire, drink their hot chocolate. Snowstorms come, you get cancellations, and it's a tough time. So it's all about raising awareness. And the bottom line is, whether it's winter, spring, summer, or fall, we're asking people to donate once per season. And believe it or not, that could actually probably prevent all these blood shortages that keep popping up.
I'm sure it could. Yeah, and one of the concerns you feel that community has is that they don't want to be stuck, or they like me. I'm gonna be honest with you. I give. Trust me. When they call me, sometime I give more than what I'm supposed to. But one of the things I was very impressed with, we had a blood drive here at the church last year, or year before last year. I forgot. It was either last year or year before last. Yeah. And I was so impressed with the professionalism and their ability to find a moving vein person like me's veins. Because that's my biggest issue. I can't take them digging and trying to find stuff, because when I have to go get blood work done for my annual physicals, I dread going in to get the blood drawn, because they got to find those veins, and they're not always able to always find my veins. But your people were able to do it. Matter of fact, when I shared with the woman, and I want to share this for the sake of those of you who are watching us today. When I shared with the professional who was with you with the blood bank, that my veins move, we can't find them sometimes. They called someone else over to try to make sure that they were able to do one stick and make it happen, and she did.
Yeah, we're a little biased, but we think we have the best phlebotomists in the tri-state area, and it's important. Our trainers get our phlebotomists well trained, and that's important because as opposed to going to LabCorp or Christiana Care to get your lab work done, where they're just taking a couple of vials, we're taking a whole pint.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that we take care of our donors, and that once we have enough, we're going to stop that bleeding and get you bandaged up and ready to go.
And give you some goodies too.
Yes, that's right. And we're gonna have the juice and cookies.
Yeah.
And
that's the best part.
Coffee in the canteen when you're done. And you're absolutely right. Like, so when you look at our phlebotomists, we have a lot of kids that are out of college, and they're terrific. But the supervisors are veteran phlebotomists, and they're overseeing a dedicated crew. And if, they're go-getters, they'll try to get that hard vein. They'll go for it. But if they can't, they have the wisdom and knowledge to know that, I'm going to call the supervisor in. So in your case, they want to make sure that, we got a good stick, and then we got the full amount that we needed for that blood donation. Because you hate to see when we don't get enough. That can happen sometimes if we don't get it in the 15-minute maximum amount of time. But most people are done in 6 to 8 minutes, and we get the product we need for the hospitals. And we're good to go. So yeah, we're very proud of our phlebotomists.
Yes,
for sure.
I was very impressed. I always going to remember that. And I tease the lady when I go to LabCorp or one of the places to get blood from. I say, I think, are you all from the blood bank? Because they knew what to do and how to do it. So there is a little competition going. The last time I went to get blood done, they did do a better job because I had given them that experience I had with you all.
Good for
and
you.
I thought it was great. Now, we're gonna take a commercial break in a minute, but I want to just make sure the commitment of Delmarva Blood Bank is to supply the hospitals in the tri-state areas.
That is correct. We're a nonprofit organization, and there are 19 hospitals in the state of Delaware, the Eastern Shore of Maryland, and Virginia. And every single one of them, they're coming in daily with orders that they need for their cancer patients, trauma patients, and anemia, sickle cell anemia, thalassemia major, things like knee and hip surgeries, and believe it or not, childbirth. Sometimes the mother
That's right.
needs blood after a difficult childbirth, or the newborn infant. The baby can need blood often. We've had stories like that as well.
Yeah.
And so you just never know.
Yeah, I want to back up a little bit because you did something that I was hoping that you would do, and that is to share that some people think that giving blood is only for trauma. But you have made it very clear, and that's just that last piece, that no, it's for more than trauma. Some people think, okay, well, if there's not a lot of trauma going on, we don't have to worry about the blood. So, it could be for sickle cell anemia. Name a few of those, because there are people who are affected by that, and they need to know that the more we can give, it comes home almost.
Yeah, believe it or not, a big portion of the people that receive blood are cancer patients.
Yeah.
When they're going through chemotherapy and radiation, that's going to kill their red cells, their platelets. These are vital components of the blood that need to be replaced. And the best way to do that is through transfusions, whether red cells or platelets. Anemia is a big one. Sickle cell anemia, for instance, Nemours Hospital for Children is one of our partners, and they often transfuse children that need a complete replacement of their blood supply. So you're talking 12 units of blood that can be needed sometimes. And when I talked about increasing African-American donors from between 2022 and 2023, that was exciting because 1 in 3 African-American donors are a match for sickle cell patients. And that's just a fact that we're trying to, really raise awareness for it, because these kids, if they don't get the blood they need, it's debilitating, the pain that they go through, and it's tragic. But thankfully, because of people who donate blood, we can help those kids. And there's other cases. I mentioned childbirth, whether it's the mother or the baby. You just never know, or something. A scheduled surgery that despite the best laid plans, something goes wrong and they need blood or platelets or maybe both. So there's all kinds of reasons to donate blood, and various ways that you can help people who happen to be patients in the hospitals that locally serve us. And look, if you're like me and you don't have time to, volunteer coaching Little League or something like that, or in the local soup kitchen, donating blood is a great way to check off that box that you gave back to the community and, did your volunteer service. So,
Yeah.
win-win.
Yeah, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we want to just continue on. And I want to talk a little bit about what does the blood bank, what do they do with, you talked about plates, you talked about the blood. Sometimes people need certain things. We want to get a better understanding because it is very vital that people give. And I want to make sure that they understand the complexity of the things that you all do. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back.
Tune in at 8 a.m. every Sunday for our worship services. Join us at 9 a.m. on YouTube and Facebook Live by typing Zion Fair Baptist Church. We are Wilmington's most exciting church. Join us at 9 a.m. on Facebook Live every Sunday by typing Zion Fair Baptist Church.
That Jesus felt what you're feeling, but he did not sin. Am I in the word? Have one who has been tempted in every way, just as we are, yet he did not sin.
We are Wilmington's most exciting church.
Hi, I'm Stan Waterman, head men's basketball coach at Delaware State University. Enjoying the opportunity to be here today with Dr. Curry, having an opportunity to speak about our program down at Delaware State University. Again, we've asked for supporters. Come on out, support us financially, friend raising, come on out to games. We just need your support in the stands. However you can do it, get behind us. We are looking to do big things in 23-24. Thank you.
And we're back. Well, it has been a great conversation thus far. It is essential that we give back by giving blood. Here at Zion Fair, we often say, always give to those who cannot give back to you. Self-sacrifice is the way we sustain humanity. And as Tony said earlier, some people coach Little League, some people give to soup kitchens, some people do different things in their churches and synagogues and things of that nature. But one thing that we can do with very little effort, and that is to give our blood, especially if you are a good recipient to give blood. So today I wanted to take some time during this month of awareness to just sit down with Tony. He's been with us before, just to share the need and for us to go and give blood. Before we took the commercial break, Tony, we talked a little bit about sometimes sickle cell patients need this aspect of the blood, or those who have cancer need the other part. What does the Delmarva, what do they do that helps the person who comes in and gives once they've given the blood? Well, what do they do with that blood?
So our most common donation product is whole blood. We're
Okay.
gonna take a pint of your blood. And I see this all the time. And it's kind of funny. On Martin Luther King Day, we had a blood drive with the Delaware Bar Association and the United Way of Delaware. And one of the donors, Maria, she said she was given 4 bags.
Oh, wow.
And she's like, what is this? Are you gonna fill them all up? And I said to her, no, we're only gonna fill one up with a pint of whole blood, give or take. And the other 3 bags are from when we separate that in the lab. We're gonna separate your red cells, your plasma, and your platelets. And those are all vital, life-saving products that the hospitals need. Platelets are often used for cancer patients. They're also used for trauma patients who were in a bad car accident or God forbid, a gunshot. The platelets are those are the tiny little tiny cells in your bloodstream that stop the bleeding. They clump up and save your life.
Yes.
Red cells, we're gonna pack them in a saline base, and those are important to just replace the volume of blood if you've lost, if you're bleeding to death after a traumatic incident. That's where the red cells come into play. They're also, as I said, used for the anemia in cancer patients who just need to have those cells replaced. There's also a product called cryoprecipitate, which is after we take the plasma, we're going to freeze it. We're going to flash freeze it, and that can be good for a year. But often the folks in the lab can melt some of that plasma and create something called cryoprecipitate, which comes into play when sometimes there's a particularly bad case in the hospital where they can't stop the bleeding, and for some reason that product comes into play and can save lives. Wow. So there's various things that we do, but I want to say platelets specifically are a challenging product for a couple of reasons. It takes 2 hours to just collect your platelets along with some plasma. And that's actually the best way for us to get the platelets we need for hospital patients. And that's hard because, instead of 1 hour, we're asking people to give 2 hours. Mm-hmm. And then if that's not bad enough, they only last for 5 days. We can't refrigerate those the way we do with red cells. Mm-hmm. They gotta stay at room temperature. They're in a constant motion on the shelf because, platelets wanna clump up together. So you gotta keep them, kind of separated. And so they only, they have a very limited shelf life, and they're hard to collect. And that ends up being something that's a constant need.
How often do people do do that procedure? I know the regular blood donations, but that particular one.
Yeah, as opposed to regular whole blood, which is every 56 days, platelet donors can actually give every 2 weeks or twice a month is the best way to look at it, because you can give a maximum of 24 times a year. So you can give more often if you have the time. And some of our platelet donors, they prefer to do platelets because they come in more often, and they see us and get to talk and catch up with our phlebotomist, and then they know they're helping. Whether it's a level 1 trauma center at Christiana Care Hospital or Nemours Children's Hospital, they know that they're helping more regularly, and they just get a big thrill. You do get a great feeling of contentment and satisfaction from donating blood, knowing, the good that you're doing. So that I also want to mention another product that we collect. As opposed to whole blood, we can do double red cells. I mentioned that during National Blood Donor Month, we're asking people to donate once per season, and that's a whole blood donation. People can also do a double red cell donation twice a year. That would go a long way. And double reds is basically similar to platelets. We're gonna separate your blood into the red cells and plasma, and we're gonna keep twice as many red cells as we normally do, like in a whole blood donation, for instance. And we'll get 2 units of red cells in a double red cell donation. And that is great because red cells are the product that we need the most. And instead of donating every 56 days, you donate every 112 days. So if you're one of those people that you want to donate, but you don't want to donate as often, then double red cells is the way to go. Okay. So think of it as the opposite of platelets. Platelets, that's the one that you can do if you want to do it as many times as possible. Red cells is the fewer one. And then in the middle, you have your regular whole blood donation.
Yeah. Now, the platelets, that's what you can do 24 times in a year, right?
Correct.
Now, how do you know if or not you're eligible to do that? And you, for example, let's say if a person is not eligible, so how do you know if you are eligible to do that?
That's a great question, Dr. Curry. And the phlebotomist will do a quick test of your platelet count.
Okay.
And also in the lab, when you're testing your blood, if they find let's say a whole blood donor that has a particularly high platelet count, we will reach out to that person and tell them you're a great candidate for platelets. You know, people have different platelet counts, and the higher the better. And so the ones with the high platelet counts, we try to recruit them and convert them from whole blood, which is where most people start naturally, and try to convert them to platelets. And if they have the time to do it, great. That's a win-win. There's also another thing that if you are a woman who has been pregnant, you do have to have what's called an HLA test. And depending on how that test goes, you can proceed with donating. I don't know the scientific particulars of the HLA test, but I do know that is something that has to happen if you are female. So yeah, there's a couple of things that have to happen in order to recruit the platelet donors.
Now, tell me the pain process, because I'm always interested in knowing how much pain will this be. I know about giving the needle. Once they find the vein, I have no issue.
Yeah.
But tell me the process and what pain is involved in that.
That is a great question, Dr. Curry. So I think for me personally, when I donate blood, the little finger prick in the beginning when they test your hemoglobin, which has to be 12.5 minimum for a woman and 13 for a man. It's so instant, but that's what bothers me the most. We talked about how good our phlebotomist is. I love it when they perform the venipuncture, the needle goes in, and you don't even feel it. Mm-hmm. That is wonderful. So our phlebotomists are talented, and they have a way to minimize the pain as much as possible. Now, if you're doing a procedure, what we call an automated procedure, whether you're doing platelets or double reds, where the blood has to go into machine and separate the blood parts and then return certain parts of your blood back to you, it can be an odd sensation when your plasma is coming back into your vein. Like if you're doing a red cell donation, or it's the opposite for platelets. We're returning your red cells while keeping your plasma. So usually when a needle goes in your arm, the blood is flowing out. But when something's being pumped back in, that can be a little odd. It's not painful. It's just something that you have to get used to.
Absolutely.
So we have really started, beginning last year, 2023, we started trying to work on ways to minimize pain and conversely increase the delightful experience of the donor. We want to make sure that it's a first class experience from start to finish. And that, by the way, that doesn't just go for our staff, Dr. Curry. That also goes for our volunteers who are going to be in the canteen, making sure you get your juice and cookies, which is the best part, or even some coffee. Yeah. And they're also watching you to make sure you don't have a reaction.
Yes.
And because if you do, they'll ring the bell and make sure the phlebotomists come and help you. And if that happens, don't worry, you'll be good as new in about half an hour. Right. So, that's rare. So yeah, I mean, it's something that we are really working hard on. And because our hope is that if the more people that have a good experience, there's nothing like word of mouth.
Oh yeah.
And one of the things we pride ourselves on at the Blood Bank of Delmarva is our customer service and the way we take care of people. And I think that we are known for that. We got that going for us. The challenge is just trying to get more people to come in.
Yeah. When you said word of mouth, we have one deacon here at the church, especially during he gives all the time. But Chris, he's a regular giver for blood. And when we had the blood bank here, and we did all the donations here, he was super excited because he did the tip list, and I was like, "Are you crazy?" But how he kind of explained it to me, which you just did again, it almost made me do it. So I think I might I might try it. Because I'm very particular about, because I've had bad experiences with needles.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is, he loves it. Not, I shouldn't say he loves it, but he acts like he loves it. I mean, he does it. He don't mind the 2 hours or whatever amount of time it takes to do what he has to do. But as we think about the lives that we save, it's very selflessness that's really needed in order to continue to give to people who you don't even know, but you're saving lives. That's important. And I have a lot of Christians who watch our show, and the greatest sacrifice that God gave to us was his son. And I want to add this in here for a reason, because if we cannot give as we've been given, it becomes selfish. We have to figure out, how do we give back to humanity? Because the whole notion of being Christian is being Christ-like, and we have to be able to give back to people what God has given to us. And when my daughter shared with me, and you all had already shared some of this, I just forgot it, that my blood type is a good type. Give, and the more we give, the more we're being a blessing to in our language, the kingdom of God, and to those of you who are just normal viewers. You're giving back to the community, and it's not always about. We want you to be a part of the little leagues, and we want you to give volunteerism to your church and to the soup kitchens. But this is something that you're giving of yourself, and there is a big difference when you're giving of yourself, I believe.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, Pastor Curry. And they say God works in mysterious ways,
yes.
And maybe he was the inspiration behind National Blood Donor Month.
Yeah,
we know more than 50 years ago, because here we are in January, and I can give you an illustration of why the awareness factor is important. So yesterday we had 75 people booked to give whole blood. That's the bulk of our schedule.
Mm-hmm.
We also have our platelet and double red cell donors, but whole blood is always the heart of your schedule. Out of 75 appointments, we had 24 cancellations.
That's almost up.
So my executive
33%.
director is having a meeting today with us, because we're scrambling to figure out, how do we make up for those units? Because we were counting on those units. And look, we don't fault people for canceling, because they wanted to be safe and stay home. And as we had 4 inches of snow. First significant snowfall in like 2 years here in Delaware, which is great. But that's why we're celebrating National Blood Donor Month, because of situations like that, where inclement weather can just zap the best laid plans in an instant. So wish us luck as we try to make up those units.
Oh, you're going to make up the units. We believe there are people watching right now. Matter of fact, before we go to a commercial break, maybe you can tell us, is there a number we can call to set an appointment to make it happen? Or we're going to talk about some of the activities that you all are doing, just in case it's going to be nearby. But is there a number you may have in your head? I know I didn't prepare you for that one.
Yeah, it's real easy to make an appointment with the Blood Bank of Delmarva. Just call 1-888-8-BLOOD-8. That's 1-888-8-BLOOD-8. It's a bunch of 8s to make it easy for you to remember. Or you can go to delmarvablood.org and schedule your appointment online. That's the way that a lot of people prefer to make their appointments in this day and age. And either way is great. We need people to make appointments. And I would urge you also, when you make your appointment and you come in and donate blood, you can make your next appointment after you're done in the canteen eating your just cookies. So, and because we need you now, we need you 56 days from now, we need you winter, spring, summer, and fall, not to sound like James Taylor, but the need never ends.
Amen. Yeah, we always need you. Amen. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back.
Join us at 9 a.m. on YouTube every Sunday by typing Zion Fair Baptist Church.
Oh my God, help me today. Which means every storm is a school. Every trial is a teacher. Every experience is an education. And every difficulty is development.
We are Wilmington's most exciting church.
Jason, let's go see your room. is it good?
News all across the nation. Wilmington's latest headlines. Advocating for change in the community. With Dr. C.T. Curry, Kobe Owens, and Shanae Darby. Tune in to The Source every Sunday at 5 p.m.
And we're back. Great conversation with Tony. He comes to us from the Blood Bank of Delmarva and has been on the show many times. We are now highlighting and making aware the need for blood, all types, because it's important beyond just trauma that we have enough blood supply so that we will not be in a shortage, especially during a crisis. And I really appreciate some of the things that you brought to our attention today beyond the crises, or somebody had a car accident, but even for our cancer patients, they need our blood. For those who have sickle cell, those things matter, especially to the community that I serve. What are there any activities? I know you were telling me that you have something up in Sussex or somewhere on Merlin Shore area, but are there any activities that may be going on with Delmarva right now?
Yeah, so I talked a little bit about next week is actually our biggest blood drive of the year, and it's very important. Ocean City, Maryland is a 3-day event that traditionally draws between 600 and 700 people. We're going for the record this year. We're gonna try to get 800 to 900 people to come out, and so wish us luck with that. But even if you're not in Ocean City, there's always a blood drive happening near you. We try to make it convenient for people at school, work, their house of worship, whatever the case may be. And delmarvablood.org is the best way to find out, or to call the toll-free 888-8-BLOOD-8 number to find a blood drive near you. And then we have 5 donor centers.
That's what I was going to ask next.
Throughout Delmarva, and even I'll start in Chatsworth, Pennsylvania. We have the Concord Donor Center, which is right off 202. Concord Pike, keeps going into Pennsylvania, and about 1.5 miles on the right. We're on the 2nd floor of the Christiana Care facility out there. And then Christiana Donor Center is headquarters. That's our biggest donor center. And that's also where the labs are, where all the blood is processed. And that's where all the blood is shipped out of. All the logistics drivers take it out and deliver it to all the hospitals in the tri-state area. And then we also have the Dover Donor Center in the state capital. That's important. And then you keep going further south to Sussex County, and we have the Dagsboro Donor Center. And then, of course, our southernmost spot for our fixed locations is the Salisbury Donor Center. And speaking of Salisbury, you asked me if there's any events coming up. I want to mention, looking ahead to February, during Black History Month, we felt it was very important to hold 2 blood drives at our historically Black colleges and universities.
Excellent.
So University of Maryland Eastern Shore will be one of the schools having a blood drive for us in mid-February or so. And February 1st, boom, right off the bat, Delaware State University in Kent County, Dover, Delaware, will be hosting a blood drive in partnership with Bay Health, one of our hospital partners, and the DSU Athletics program. So there's always something going on, and we need people to donate. Now, a couple weeks from now, next month, you name it. There's always an opportunity.
We have a major events that are going to be occurring in the month of February, and while you were speaking, I thought of maybe we need to get in touch with you all again, and maybe we need to do that as well for here in the local area with Wilmington. So that's going to happen. But for the persons who may be watching us, they may belong to a church, they may belong to a fraternity, a sorority, civic organizations, and they want to bring it to their community. Is there a requirement that is needed in order to sponsor a blood drive?
Great question, Dr. Curry. So When we hold a blood drive, you got to take the equipment and the staff, and you have to set up and everything. And ideally, we want there to be at least 20 to 35 donors that the organizer can definitely, in confidence, think that that he or she can bring to the table. So we want there to be a little bit of confidence there that yes, we can get 20 to 30 people to come out to the blood drive. The more the merrier, by the way. I mean, we sometimes have blood drives where the organizer believes they can get 100 people because the particular cause is passionate. And if it works out, great. We'll come, we'll set it up, typically a couple months in advance, and we'll set everything up. The other thing I want to say, you reminded me, Dr. Curry, about fraternities and sororities. And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you are a member of the famous Omega Psi Phi.
Wow, you're good.
Fraternity
Absolutely.
Incorporated. And those guys are great. They had last August, I just want to give a shout out real quick to Bill Garrett and the fraternity brothers. The second annual very highly successful Dr. Charles R. Drew Memorial Blood Drive was held. And we did ask them to help us. I mentioned February, Black History Month. We did help them to ask us raise awareness. And even if they come in, like when I first met them, it was about 1.5 years, 2 years ago during the summer, they came in as a group and donated. And that's another thing people can do.
Matter of fact, just keep your thought, but that is a requirement. If we're not sponsoring a blood drive to honor our fraternity brother, our Ronald E. McNair, is that we are to go as a chapter or as a group to give blood, so that we say that we have participated in the process. But go ahead, thank you.
Exactly, and that's what they did. They came in. I mean, it was more than half a dozen gentlemen who came in and donated blood. They were wearing the Omega Psi Phi, regalia, and even doing the fraternity signs, which was fun as they took their picture, and that's another way. I mean, during the holidays, there was a Italian family that came in together, the Mara family. The patriarch, Joseph Mara, wanted to honor his daughter-in-law who had passed away from leukemia. And she, her husband, the widower, was telling me that she had received so many transfusions he couldn't even count. And they came in as a group of 7 and donated together to honor her memory, Chelsea Mara. And so, if that's what you want to do, that's great. I mean, we tell people all the time, even if it's not a big group like that, you want to donate blood and bring a friend or a family member. I've seen mothers and daughters, fathers and sons donate together, and that's a great way to go about it as well, especially if you need that emotional support, like someone there to be there with you. We welcome that.
Yes.
And we'll try to get you seated next to each other as well, whether it's just 2 of you or a bigger group.
Amen. How old do you need to be when donating blood?
Believe it or not, Dr. Curry, this school year, we added something exciting. It used to be 17 was the minimum age for us. Right. Now it's 16.
Okay. Excellent.
And that has had a tremendous effect on our numbers for the high school blood drives, because you've opened it up to a whole new class of kids. And there's an extra step involved in that. If you're 16, you do have to get parental permission, and there's a form that has to be filled out, but it's well worth the time and effort, because those kids are now donating with us. I've seen it at our local high schools, St. Mark's, Salesianum, we've got a big one coming up with William Penn. I mean, it's had a tremendous effect. So 16 is now the minimum age, I'm happy to say. And for those wondering, when I first started at the blood bank 6 years ago, 79 was the maximum age. They finally got rid of that like several years ago, because we found that people into their 80s and even 90s were still donating blood and perfectly healthy. So we were just creating more work for us by creating the medical exemption from the medical directive that was needed. And so there's really no maximum age for donating blood. The main thing is you want to be feeling healthy and well, no flu or cold-like symptoms.
And they do test you to make sure that your blood will be usable.
That's right. I mean, we're going to do like about a dozen, give or take, tests for infectious diseases, including number 1, HIV, syphilis, hepatitis. We are are regulated by the FDA and AABB, and we have to really work hard to make sure that the blood supply is safe. And it's something that we work hard to do. And no matter how many times you donate blood, it will be tested every single time.
Absolutely.
Including even, I always thought this was curious, they even still test your blood type just to make sure you're still O positive. I'm like, come on, it's not going to change, but for some reason they do that.
Yeah. Well, you always got to be extra sure.
Yeah.
I think that this has been a great opportunity for the community to hear from you. And to hear from me saying this is something we must do. We must do it. I am very much partner with that, just to make sure for the persons who want to sponsor. You said, and I just want to do a recap of that. At least if you can guarantee or give the assurance of 20 or more, the more the merrier. You all would be more than willing to, if the schedule permits, to try to show up, because some places like senior high rises, we got to figure out how we can start doing some blood donors there, because a lot of them want to give, but they don't have the mobility to be able to move around to the level that others. But I know our church did it in our gym, and we're going to do another one this year. What number do we call to try to sponsor a blood drive?
So for church, it would be, let me give an example. Martin Luther King Junior Day blood drive had a goal of 18. So, the numbers I mentioned earlier, it's kind of arbitrary and capricious, but that particular blood drive was on a bloodmobile, and the goal was 18. And I'm happy to say the Delaware State Bar Association and United Way of Delaware exceeded that goal, and they ended up having 25 donors. So that's considered a tremendous success. So that's why I mentioned that 20 to 30, figure. And there's a little leeway there, and there's a little negotiation that can take place. But that's a good starting point. And like I said, we've had some organizations tell us that they can bring us 80 to 100 donors. So you just never know. And by the way, before I forget, I want to mention this. We talked about the hospitals needing blood. Last year, we began partnerships with Newcastle County and Sussex County paramedics, and that was a game changer because, folks like you who donate O positive blood, they're taking that out in the field now, and they can when they get to the scene of a bad car accident or any other kind of trauma, they can actually transfuse a unit of whole blood into you, and it goes a long way towards saving your life. You don't have to wait till you get to the hospital now to donate blood. And I would just say to people wondering, they've never given blood and they've never donated and they don't know their blood type, you may be one of those people that can help the paramedics out in the field who are saving lives. In addition to all the fine work being done by our hospital partners, whether it's St. Francis, Wilmington, Christiana Care, you name it. There's all kinds of ways people can help, and we definitely, blood drives are definitely a big part of that, because you want to make it convenient for people. You want to take the excuse away to not donate blood.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you the staff credit as well. They will follow up and they will call. And I guess after you get to that 3 month or whatever the period time, 56 days, I think you said, they'll call in and say, would you like to schedule an appointment? Just so you won't forget it. So I give credit to your staff as well. They do a very good job with following up and making sure that we remember it's time to give again, and we have the schedule in front of us. So that's a good thing as well.
Yeah, we are persistent, and I apologize.
No,
we can be incessant. But our director of donor scheduling, Amy Proctor, said to me, if they just leave a message on your phone, and even if they don't get you on the phone and make an appointment that minute, they still put it in your mind that it's time to donate blood again.
Right.
And so whether you call us back or make the appointment yourself online, either way, it's okay. It's a great thing to do to give back to your community.
Okay, great. Well, Tony, it has been a joy having you on the show today.
Likewise.
I hope that those of you who are watching us have learned something and now are willing to give. Give that blood. That blood is needed so that we will be able to preserve life. And I think that's important. I'm going to give you the last opportunity to say the last word of anything you want to say to the people for the urgency and the desire to give blood. Here's your moment.
Thank you, Dr. Curry. We're celebrating National Blood Donor Month for a reason. It's January. Whether it's a snowstorm or you just don't feel like venturing outside because it's cold, it's important to remember the importance of donating blood. And we're asking everyone to donate once per season, winter, spring, summer, and fall. It would go a long way towards avoiding national and local blood emergencies. The American Red Cross just announced a blood emergency already, and we're one step away ourselves at the Blood Bank of Delmarva. But you can prevent that by donating blood yourself. If you don't want to do 4 times a year, as whole blood, you can do double reds twice a year. And if you really have the time and you want to, come in and see us as often as possible, you can donate 24 times a year as a platelet donor. And, call 1-888-8-BLOOD-8 or visit delmarvablood.org. And it's a great way to give back to your community, sit back and relax and donate some blood or, platelets and plasma. And it's just a wonderful thing. And we'll tell you your blood type for free. I don't think that can happen at your doctor's office.
It cannot. I think I learned it when we did the thing. Well, again, Tony, thank you so very much for taking the time to be
my
with me
pleasure,
today.
Dr. Curry.
And I wish you very well, and I wish the children as well as the wife well as well.
Thank you, Pastor
God bless
Curry.
you. We'll be right back.
Poverty can often act as a barrier, preventing individuals, families, and communities from reaching their full potential. In communities facing persistent poverty and high unemployment rates, the Community Economic Development Program, or CED, invests in local businesses and helps create and expand job opportunities. CED grants provide long-term solutions to poverty by ensuring that 75% of all the jobs created with CED funds are filled by individuals with low incomes and that employees are connected to critical support services. All jobs created with CED funds are intended to be high-quality positions that provide living wages, paid leave, fringe benefits, and opportunities for career growth to truly help individuals achieve economic self-sufficiency. CED projects provide startup capital, loans, equity investments, and funding for construction for a variety of industries including restaurants and commercial kitchens, manufacturing businesses, distribution centers, grocery stores, child care and home care businesses, and agricultural and environmental initiatives. Every year, CED funds are used to create and expand hundreds of local businesses and employ thousands of individuals across the country. And for every $1 of CED funding that is used on a project, more than $6 from other sources is invested back into low-income communities. To learn more about CED, visit www.acf.hhs.gov/OCS/help.
Hello, I'm Marcus Henry, and I'm running for Newcastle County Executive. I spent over 20 years working in state and local government, trying to bring the good programs and services you deserve here in Newcastle County. Please support my campaign. Please look us up at marcushenryde.com for further information. I look forward to meeting you all over next year, and I look forward to your support. Thank you.
And we're back. What a great show today. I'm very grateful and thankful that Tony took time out to come and be with us again. Just like Zion Fair has done in the past, I encourage you to do it now. If you are an organization and you know you can get at least 20 people and you really would like for either the mobile van or even the team to come to your location to sponsor a blood drive, that's important. I bring people onto the show so that we can inform the community of things that are needed. We talk about politics, we talk about all this other stuff that happens in our community. This is something that you can really affect and really bring positive results. You should give the blood bank a call today. Schedule and then show up. I want to make sure that you are well aware that your blood is needed. please, let's take this month and let's outdo all the data. African Americans, Latinos, you are needed. Your blood is needed. We brought him here today so that we can remind you we are the ones who have the sickle cell at a high rate. So it's important. We watch all of the various people who are hit with bullets and things of that nature, the trauma that happens in our community. We need your blood. And I'm not from the blood bank, but I know the significance of making sure that they have enough blood on hand for anything that we may need blood for. I hope you enjoyed the show today, and I hope you will call the blood bank. You have the number at the bottom of the screen right now. Call, set the appointment, show up. Let's make a difference in the lives of somebody else. Until the next time we get together, may the Lord God bless you real good.
Thank you for watching this episode of Coffee with Curry. Tune in next week, Sunday at 11 a.m.